Someone texts me, I'm at your house. I'm like, question mark? I was like, what you doing at my house? He's like, oh, wrong person. I'm like, that's less confusing now. A little bit nervous. I'm like, was I wrong about something? Am I supposed to be home right now? I think I'm supposed to be right here, live, to whoever. We got 13 people and counting because, we don't plan this enough.
I think we do.
We do.
I think
and they'll show up.
There's enough planning.
Yeah, enough planning. We'll get there.
You guys like it. We like it.
You can always watch it in post. So it's the, sometimes we're Saturday mornings, sometimes we're Friday nights. I think we've done it once on a Thursday, maybe. I don't know. Didn't we have another off? We had one time we did it a different day.
We try and squeeze it in where we can.
Yeah. It's a little hard. And we were just ranting earlier about the state of the industry we work in. whether it's DevOps, systems, or security, the entire thing's a giant shit show.
Yeah, it's one big ball of anxiety.
Yeah. We're working hard. We want to make it better. We're trying to change it. We try to educate people about security, but it's a crazy, crazy world.
There's some politics that goes along with it. There's some lack of trust. There's all types of stuff that's floating around, and at the end of it, the customer is who loses. It's not even your talent. It's not the leadership. It's not the board members. It's the customer who actually loses when their data gets exposed or ransomed.
Part of me feels like if you read, and this is somewhat ancient history now, because it seems so obvious. If I said doctors before surgery should wash their hands, you go, oh, yeah, they do that, right? Well, they didn't just 100 years ago. Right. This was just like they used to go from just one person to the next, and there was no standards in it. And it's almost like the way I feel technology is. We're like that early days of the doctoring where we're just bringing the virus from one place to the next. It's just... and it's because it's such an immature industry and it's growing at a rate that's exponential. So from a hacker standpoint, it's almost easier to get in because there's so many holes, there's so many systems stood up. We're running around with clients. We have another client that we're securing their HVAC systems and things like that because they previously exposed them. Now, they didn't get hacked. They're being proactive and saying, hey, this probably shouldn't be on the internet. We keep hearing it shouldn't be on the internet. And I'm like, you're all this on the internet. That's fascinating.
You don't want that on the internet.
Right. So it's
server
taking...
room's 120 degrees.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, this is HVAC for buildings. The whole building control system's all publicly exposed.
Sheesh. Good
news is not publicly found by someone else that we can tell. And they're all things like the only thing you can really do with these, they are industrial control systems, but they adjust the heat for the building. So it's not like it's a pivot point. Matter of fact, and it's kind of interesting to go in there. They have a cable modem and they'll have like a consumer router. And they run it inside of like the whole HVAC room. So you're in like the HVAC room for a giant multi-story building, and that's all that's in there. It's not like it's part of the building network even. It's just dedicated for that, so it's not a pivot point, other than you could do bad things with this, like turn the heat off when it's really cold and all the pipes burst. So bad things can happen. And the software, of course, is just horribly written. If you've ever looked at any of this stuff by Tyco, Honeywell, all that stuff, they don't even bother with pen tests. They're like, look, this thing's full of holes. Don't publicly expose it. That's kind of their answer. Right. So, yeah, sometimes it is a little bit depressing a little bit. So I think that's part of it. We got the glum look on our faces because we're like, yeah, our industry kind of sucks. Let's go be farmers, man.
Well, it's an interesting time.
Interesting times for sure. Especially if you're a DHS says ransomware hit gas line pipe. So if you're in the gas business, you're having a bad time. Especially this particular one. Operations halted for 2 days at an unnamed natural gas compression facility.
Sheesh.
That's
unnamed, huh?
Unnamed. And it doesn't get better as we read here. So pipeline operator shut down operations for 2 days. They say the pipeline operator decided to implement a deliberate and controlled shutdown to operations as a precaution to avoid any incidents. This is a big mess.
Yeah, this is all because of a spear phishing campaign.
Mm-hmm. They're targeting these people. They're not just randomly out there. It just... One of the challenges is, and where this gets really dangerous, is the way the compressed CNG, the way compressed natural gas operators are. And we had this incident, which not cybersecurity related, was it last year when we had the polar vortex here in Michigan, whenever you got below zero.
Yep.
they actually couldn't keep up with the demand for gas and had to shut people down. The opposite, though, if you're in a really
it caught on fire too.
Yeah.
There was one that caught on fire.
One caught on fire, and then a failure at another pump. They had a whole series of failures that led to this. So this is seriously affects our infrastructure, because if they would have had to shut down gas supplies during what in Michigan we call the polar vortex, in which Alaska's called Tuesday, where it was like 5 below zero, 10 below zero, with and then add some wind chill. That is seriously putting lives in danger, because people kind of rely on heat to be on.
Yep.
And when you talk about not just someone's furnace failing at their house, but like a mass failure of the gas system, that we were really looking at here in Michigan. It made me kind of think, that's really, I thought our infrastructure was more redundant than that, but...
Whip out the kerosene.
Yeah, bust out the kerosene and break out like it's 1800s. But when you talk about people in apartment buildings and stuff like that, there's no easy solution for them. It's like they're going, this sucks.
Yeah.
And it becomes more catastrophic because pipes freeze, pipe break, the infrastructure starts failing systematically. One piece fails, the next piece fails. We can't service it. Everything's a giant mess.
Now we're in North Korea.
Now it's North Korea, man. And it all starts with one cyber attack on it. So it made me think a lot about that incident we had here in Michigan on there.
Yeah, and we know, and as I always tell you guys, the Russians have hacked our power grid and have been hovering over the big red buttons before, so...
Yeah, it's kind of the same problem you have with a nuclear war, where it's a mutually assured destruction. Because I absolutely feel very confident that we are hovering over many red buttons as well.
I'd imagine.
So it's one of those things like, who wants to press it first? Like, it's not going to go well for anyone. So it's the scary ones is if someone comes in between rambunctiously just hitting the buttons and makes
the script kiddie comes around.
Script kiddie comes in and doing it.
It just flips the switch.
Because I highlight something that was stated in here. The fact that we're at this level now. We have commodity ransomware. I like they made it bold. Commodity. It's just average every day off the shelf. Buy it at your local.
So wait, is that not
store.
a strain? Is that not a strain?
It's attacker input commodity ransomware encrypted copy. My guess would be they just didn't say which one, but commodity means one of the popular ones that's in the news all the time. Probably Emotet as the transport layer to get in there, and then we Ryuk them, just commodity stuff that off the shelf.
I never thought about it like that. I guess that's what they're considering it, huh?
Yeah, it's gotten so mainstream. Just run the real ransomware. Not even clever ransomware. It's just the average ransomware, one that we see all the time. So, yeah.
Wow.
Now this is where things get fuzzy very quick, and not from the U.S.'s side, so to speak, but from the Huawei side. U.S. charges Huawei with conspiracy to steal trade secrets and racketeering. But, the reason I say gets fuzzy, stealing trade secrets. So the Chinese doesn't have any type of clear separation between a military operation, a business, or a government entity, or any of those. In China, they're all blended the same. So which one was this? Was this them gathering state secrets and doing intel like the CIA or NSA would do, or is it just a business doing something? So a business entity in the U.S. is very different than the CIA. There's a very clear separation between them, where China's all blended. So charging them with all this is interesting. Well, are you charging China? Are you charging Huawei? Are you charging the military? Huawei is a military contractor at the same time, but every business in China has a.
Why is this a problem?
Yeah.
This is the same thing that we have products that are owned by governments, and they have products that are owned by governments, and what's the big deal? I think that you have to assume if you are going to. I think this really comes down. I'm going to be honest. I think this really comes down to 5G.
It's a huge war with the 5G.
I think it's just a 5G war. Trump's throwing elbows. Mm-hmm. Trump's cronies are throwing elbows. This is a 5G play. Huawei is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, 5G manufacturer for radios and equipment and whatnot. So when we talk about this, right, you don't think that we just heard about crypto AG, right? We can't act like governments don't have interest in private sector businesses.
Yeah, it's really...
All of a sudden, now we're not going to do any business with Chinese electronics companies? What about Samsung? Do you not think Samsung does the same stuff?
And this is where we're going to... This is kind of a dovetail into a story that I don't have linked in here, but it was a good report if you want to read it. Red Hat has been doing this annual state of open source. And open source is just gaining speed fast. I tweeted out the report on there, and they're like, look, and one of the reasons why businesses are watching all this ping pong going back and forth with Huawei, they're like, look, we just need to see the code. We aren't going to trust third parties. And then not only open source in America, this is a global report. They sat down, they really take the time to put this data together, and they're like, oh no, especially in Europe, they're going, look, we don't trust that crypto AG company. We need all the source code to all the things is the only way we can vet this. We need reproducible builds. We need to look at the binaries, compare them to when we recompile the code ourselves. And it's gotten to that level. So, and to me, it's better because I like open source. I like the concept of a lot of that better. I think we can trust a lot better. Even Microsoft saying, look, we love open source because you got to host it somewhere. Host it over here. So they got their own pivot to make money on it. But I think we're going to keep seeing more of that. This is, I was actually spent some time in a conference call with the people, some developers, and we had a discussion about this earlier today. And they make open source products. It's really, they're watching it gain speed faster and faster because of things like this.
And if you read some of this paperwork that they have, like this complaint, you'll see that like, this stuff is spanning all the way back to like 97.
Yeah, there's been operations of them watching
till
them for a
2004 was when some of these people who are being claimed this stuff gets deep. This is that deep state stuff that people talk about.
Yeah, they've been at it for a while. Matter of fact, and by the way, it'll just be in the show notes. But there's a link so you can read through. It's only 56 pages, but you can jump to some of the good stuff in there. The indictments itself. Of course, there's plenty of redacted information in there, but it's a lot of real specifics in there. And like Xavier said, this is not new. This is years of espionage.
Like they planted a bunch of things and then they started to use them over a period of time. Like, hey, all of a sudden we're going to use this R&D engineer who has been in America since 1997, and we're going to have him design this cellular antenna, this secondary antenna that just siphons data off. Okay.
There's a lot to it. And this is where open source solves this problem too. So if Huawei is open source, we'd be able to vet and audit, and they would actually only compete on the hardware. Right. Which would make this a very different level of competition and things like that. So I've had people say, well, it's hardware. I'm like, it's a little bit, you can have the firmware be open source. You can have that side of it. And then that would force the competitor, Cisco, to be able to do it. But Huawei's got some of the, me and Xavier were talking about this earlier, about the little MikroTik switch sitting behind them there, of how they've really permeated the market because of their low prices. And then Huawei did the same thing. They're really, it's like when you compare them, you're like comparing something that costs like, hey, this is $500 and the competitor is $3,000 for the same device. Right. And now you scale that out and start multiplying that out to the quantity, because 5G requires almost like a line of sight. So it's a higher quantity of telecom equipment than previous towers. It's actually not even towers. Some of my clients already have it.
Microcells.
Some of my clients already have it on top of their buildings.
You gotta be careful with it, man. It'll cook your scalp.
You don't stand in front of it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Any of them.
Microcells, man.
Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be an interesting battle going forward on all that for sure. Good news is, this is happening faster than expected, because open source to save the day, but oddly by Microsoft.
I don't know, man. Seems like a really bad idea.
Their system is solid. It's been vetted. It's really slick the way they did this. This is 100%. By the way, all of it's on GitHub. It was put together by security researchers funded by Microsoft, and it's all being developed in the clear on GitHub. It is not like a connected app. There's not like a vote. This is not a voting app. No bullshit like that. This is like a way to actually vet solid ways to just tally up the totals in the proper method.
I don't know, man. I'm afraid of it. I'm throwing it out here. I don't know how it'll be broken, but I believe in my community. It'll be 12-year-olds breaking this at DEF CON.
Oh, they've got this. Well, that's the whole thing. They've actually worked with all those people. They're like, here, poke at it. We want you guys to break this. They're doing a 180 from all these other companies. They're like, no, we're not hiding it, and you have to threaten to get, the whole voting booth at DEF CON. Those guys were selling them on eBay, and they were threatening to sue them. They were there was legal problems that they were trying to throw at DEF CON. This is the opposite. This is going, no, please. We want to hear from you, and we want to see you hack this. We want to know what's wrong. They are being 100% source code, 100% the hardware up front. Like, please test the hell out of this. And that's a really interesting approach. I mean, that's the exact right approach. You couldn't ask for a better response. I'm shocked it's coming from Microsoft.
How much you think the bugs will be worth on Zerodium?
Ooh, there's a question.
Would you like to hack an election?
Would you like to hack an election?
100 billion for you.
Yeah. I might play around with this a little bit. I thought it might be kind of neat because it looks like it's all a web app that they have, and I think someone said there's a Docker image you can get of it too.
From what I read, it seems to be mostly just like crypto. Like it seems to be very crypto driven.
Very crypto driven. What they did was they created a way to verify that someone voted, but not how they voted. And they have a really clever way of doing it. I listened to it, and when the crypto stuff went a little in my head because it's some really solid. They're using if I'm not mistaken, it's like a blockchain technology, so they can tally up who voted, so no one can vote twice. It creates that same infinite ledger for that particular machine, so they have this great record that can tie to the other records. Everything about it, from people who've been code, and they're paying for code audits on this. This is Microsoft. They're like, no, we think elections are important. Microsoft said, and honestly, Microsoft doing this, there's not much of a nefarious thing. Microsoft sprinkles what is pennies to them. This isn't their marketing budget for last week. You know what I mean? The kind of money that this took to build. Right. And look at the goodwill it brings them. Hey, Microsoft, man, look at you in the news. That way if they do something egregiously bad, they're like, but we did the voting stuff. That was nice. Oh, yeah, but didn't you slurp up everyone's data on that other Windows 10 update? Actually, Windows 10 shit the bed and lost everybody's data at the last update. So they're trying to get out of the news for that. They're like, but we did a voting thing, right?
Man, Microsoft and their fucking updates.
Yeah, their updates are a horror show.
God, I can't get it right after fucking 30 years.
Yeah. So that's I'm trying to be positive on that particular one. Now,
I know.
I'm not positive at all about any of the people running for office. That's a different issue.
I'm afraid of it personally, but I don't know. I got a tinfoil and it's on pretty tight.
Yeah.
Anytime you put guard and election in the same sentence, I'm like, you're asking for it. Here, that's like saying antivirus.
Yeah.
Like there will be people dedicated to just slipping shit by it.
Yep. Or that Trend Micro story we had where that was the pivot point. The antivirus was the methodology which they got in. I mean, that's just
like, I don't know, putting RMM tools on your customer stuff and then it being used against you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Scary shit. But
Yep. Nevertheless. Good news is, we talked about that hacker, the white hat hacker that had talked to that guy over his own ring to talk him into securing it.
Yep.
Now, there's just not enough white hats out there to secure the disaster that is the security of consumers using products that are public-facing.
It would need to be an AI white hat.
Yeah, you need like an AI white hat. But until we invent that, Ring said, okay, we're just going to go ahead and force 2FA.
There you go.
Yeah.
Should have did that from, I don't know, 2-3 years ago.
I know, before it turned into the security nightmare that it is, of dumped passwords on the internet and everyone uses the same password everywhere. We're talking about consumers. I'm not saying that our audience here. We know you're all smarter than that. But the general public. You have to really, really do a lot to keep the general public safe from themselves.
Yep.
Because, dude, they will use password 123. Dude, my wife's passwords are always sad. Like, I'm always like, how did you not get hacked? I always send her, like, the thing. I'm like, this password was on the have I been pwned 4,000 times.
Not 4,000 times. Holy smokes.
Yeah, when I first met her, she had passwords in the top 10 list. We're just gonna say that. So that top 10 worst password list, yeah.
Cat.
Yeah, it's like she just kept mashing sequential buttons until it let her save the password. Gosh. It's too short. Okay, we're going for 6 letters. Nope, 7, 8, 9. All right.
QWERTY.
Yeah.
UIOP.
Yep. Yeah. Just patterns. It's. Anyways, so they've Rings enabled 2FA on all user accounts. They're all happy about that. It's not much of a hacking story. It's more of a hopefully no more hacking story.
Right.
That's where that's going. So I thought it was worth mentioning because we mentioned it before.
Oh my God. I am super excited that at some point Google decided that they wanted all the Nest people to do 2FA as well.
Yeah, Google said, okay, we have a consumer-facing device and people can control the temperature in their house. Maybe we're going to force 2FA. So I know they did. I didn't see the article, but I heard it in a Google changelog. That was something they had done.
Yep. So it seems that people are starting to, I don't know, take back control over security.
Yeah, well, they're going to force people into it, and it's sometimes what you have to do. It's security is that trading convenience type thing, but sometimes you just force it. You're like, look, it's not an option, and more companies doing it means, okay, it becomes the norm, and users just go, whatever, I have to do that now. Ugh. But you got to move that money, and you got to tumble it around through them Bitcoin laundering operations.
Yeah,
and,
I feel really bad for this guy.
Yeah, an Ohio resident has been charged for his alleged role in operation of Helix, a darknet-based Bitcoin laundering service. And I don't know. So it's probably not a good idea to publicly run a money tumbler. Cause
is it a money tumbler?
That's why I'm kind of not just saying, yeah.
That's why I feel bad for the guy, because like the same time they want to say that Bitcoin isn't a currency and that it's not.
It's an asset.
It's an asset. That's like saying I got in trouble for giving you some gold, you melted down, gave me some palladium, I melted down.
It's a little fuzzy on there.
I don't know, man. This one kind of sucks for me. It's like that gray area weird shit. Like, did this dude even know he was doing something wrong?
Yes. So, and that's the thing. The indictment underscores that seeking to obscure virtual currency transactions in this way, and that the department can and will ensue, crime doesn't pay. And you're right. This is it kind of reminds me of some of the forfeiture problems you've had where, and this has happened right here in Michigan. We had that store owner that they seized a bunch of money from him, a grocery store guy, for making cash deposits. He's like, I run a grocery store. I make cash deposits. So like, we think these were ill-begotten gains. He's like, there's a ledger. Here's the deposits. And they just took his money because they said, you deposit too much cash. He goes, I run a grocery store in Detroit. It takes cash. I am in trouble for depositing the cash properly into the bank. He would have been better off if he stuck it in his pockets. And so it does. It runs on that edge all the time.
This one, it was an icky one for me. I don't know.
Now,
the only reason he's in trouble is for not having a license, by the way.
Right.
He's not in trouble for anything other than doing this unlicensed. This is not against the law if you get a license for it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, some of this stuff kind of like...
It's so edgy.
Where is the license to do this for Bitcoin? Like, is there a license?
Well, they want you to report to regulatory agencies and things like that.
But so it's Bitcoin. There's no regulatory agency.
There are for trading any commodities, though. And it's treated as a commodity, so you have to register that you're trading back. It's very fuzzy. This
dude's going to do 5 to 7 for no reason.
But you know,
because there's no way, as a jury of his peers, I'm not going to understand it.
No, and oh yeah, that's for sure. That's for he is screwed when he gets into court.
He's fucked.
There's gonna be what's a Bitcoin? I want him just to have some plastic gold coins like Chuck E. Cheese coins. Well, I was rolling these around and tumbling them.
So that'll actually get him off because people just still don't understand.
Yeah. But you know why do people are tumbling Bitcoins?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it could be for security reasons.
Yeah.
It could be operational security.
It could be OPSEC.
I don't know, man. That sucks.
There's some fuzziness in there.
It looks like he also ran that search engine, Grams.
Oh.
Which probably will get him in more trouble than tumbling Bitcoin.
Probably.
He was into some shady for sure.
Yeah, that's... Selling drugs online, just legalize all the drugs, solve all the problems. We know what you did last summer. MGM's hotel spinoff lost 10.7 million guest records, and now they're on hacker forums. And of course, this is celebrities like Justin Bieber were in there, so now they have some of his information for probably. I wonder if they had
for the lulz.
Yeah, leaked for the lulz. So, Pop. Wobbler Bieber. I'm trying to figure out the way they put that. and Twitter boss Dorsey. So Dorsey, first he gets his Twitter pop. Now he lost his gambling history.
Gosh.
Oh, man.
Last summer, we discovered unauthorized access to a cloud server that contained a limited amount of information for certain previous guests of MGM resorts. MGM owns half the strip. Caesars owns the other half of the strip. Like, you're sucked up in this in some way, shape, or form. You've done business with MGM. You just have.
10 million guests.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty
large
solid
number.
visitors list from Vegas there. The disappointing, there's simply no information on here. And
it looks like 82% of the emails that were leaked in this were already leaked on Have I Been Pwned. This is where we are. We're at the point where only 18% knew out of 10 million.
yeah, that's really hard.
Troosh.
That's really hard. No information, but if I had to guess, I'm going to completely speculate, but if we follow up on this story, do you think it was an Elasticsearch server publicly exposed that someone found? What's the odds that that was the breach method?
I'm going to say with cloud, I'm going to say it's a high potential.
Yeah.
Because cloud is like, it's harder to mess up. It's harder to mess up as far as access is controlled. Like, it's a key. like there's like some really, it's kind of very straightforward. So
it's just Skip says they're more likely to plea it out. Very likely. Most criminal cases never get to a jury. Back on the Bitcoin stuff, I think you're probably a lot of truth in that in the comments. That's
what?
Oh, Skip had said they'll probably plea it out because a lot of stuff doesn't make it to a jury.
Right.
Yeah. Depends on how good of a storyteller you hire. I mean, lawyer. That's all law is. You got to hire a good storyteller. They spin it right.
I talked to a lawyer today. He's like, man, you must do this all day long. I'm selling to him, of course. He's like, you must do this all day long. You're talking so fast. Are you sure you're not a lawyer? I was like, not yet.
That's like a pivot point. You go in there. Eventually, I imagine there's probably going to be a market for some of the skill sets we have where we consult with lawyers on that.
I want to be a lawyer to, like, protect this guy from getting railroaded.
Yeah.
Because, like, even though he's probably doing something wrong, doing something shady, they need lawyers too. Shady people deserve lawyers as well. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
All
so
right?
Skip actually sent me an article, and maybe we should dive into this at some point. There's a company that's like a
EFF
expert that you hire. And they're for doing legal expert. This company is nothing but a collection of stupidity. There's supposedly a tech company that does this. Skip sent me the article, and this person didn't know what ZFS was. Just a whole list of things, like a whole list of stupid. And they had hired them as a technical expert as a witness. It was a crazy. He sent me the actual court transcripts.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, they just not seem to know what they're doing. And yeah. So that's a whole nother, and undoubtedly was charging them a fortune to not know what they're doing. So if you hire one of those people, make sure they're actually experts and know what they're doing.
Yep. Hire Mitnick.
Hire Mitnick.
He knows a lot.
Yes. He makes a lot of people angry too sometimes.
IOTA got pwned last week. We didn't talk about it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they've been able to recover so far. They had to shut down the entire network after a breach. Looks like there was a third party that they used to help with the transactions, and attackers took advantage of this Trinity wallet exploit, and pop goes the weasel. They had some of the biggest wallets were drained, and yeah, it's a big deal.
Wow.
At least 10 high value IOTA accounts. At least 10. So. $1.6 million worth of moolah gone.
Wow. That is, IOTA Foundation members said law enforcement officials have been notified and are involved in tracking down attackers.
The FBI.
They're not finding them.
Nope. Well, I don't know. They may find the guy who does the tumbling.
Yeah.
And then they fucking screw his thumbs enough for him to give him the password to the ledger so they can know where did the money end up going.
Yeah. And I think that's why they're after it, because they're not ever the the one thing about hacking right now, which making it even more lucrative, not only the amount of money in it, is the fact that the lack of people ever getting caught.
Right.
You know, these people are popping these companies with Ryuk and everything else, one after another.
It's like drug dealing in the 60s. Like, people just don't care about it yet. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal yet. Like, there's been no epidemic. Heroin is still normal. Partying is still normal. But, like, give it another 20, 30 years.
It's also...
It's going to be not only repercussions from, like, the bad habits.
Yeah.
But policies that come into no more bad habits.
Right.
Like,
no, it's I think too we have so much of law enforcement, they're just not tech savvy either. This is a challenge for them. I've talked to some of even the local officers here. I see them, I get coffee in the morning and talk to them, and I ask them, they're like, oh God, we're dealing with Craigslist. You know, they're still trying to sort out Craigslist scammers and dealing with people just giving away money over stupid sales and,
exactly.
you know, buying gift cards to send stuff and allegedly
the simple scams.
The simple stuff. And he said, we're swamped with it.
And you would think that 955 would make people aware. They've been doing phone scams for 20 years. Spike's been doing phone. We should get him on the show. He's been doing phone scams in Detroit for 20 years, and people still are falling for literally phishing and vishing. He's one of the best social engineers I know. He's 100% success rate. Live.
That might be a fun live show.
And War of Roses. Think about it. They have a lot of, like, Spike. You never know, man. He's got a hacker name. I wonder if he's still over there. I haven't listened to the radio in so long. Terrestrial radio is not my thing.
I know, I don't either. It's funny because I was thinking in a Tesla, I'm like, oh, I forgot it's a little radio button. I pressed it because I was like, I forgot this. I've never turned it on my car. And I'm like, I turned it on. I'm like, oh.
Thinks he's going to get like space radio. He's like,
yeah, well, I pressed the button, so it seeked in a channel, and it was right in a commercial. I'm like, oh, that's why I don't listen to this.
Yeah.
I went away.
Oh, yeah. Sunday. We're going to Monster Truck Jam. If you click on this next one, I think that our fans are going to be a little sad because I'm sure someone's done business with this company.
Oh,
God, hate to be
final
the bearer of
cover.
bad news.
Yeah, customer info
Slickwraps.
data breach.
Slickwraps, I love Slickwraps. I used to rock them big time before I started rocking hard cases, and they make dope stuff. They make stuff for your PlayStation. They make stuff for Rubik's Cubes. There's all types of stuff. And it looks like they got pwned.
That's just terrible.
Yep.
Wah, wah. Oh, man.
377,000 emails from customer database to send mass email.
Oh, boy. This is the worst part right here. However, the scale and severity of the breach could be much more significant than Slickwraps let on. According to a security researcher who goes by the Twitter handle of Links, they tried to warn the company multiple times over the last several days about a massive vulnerability in their website. What's worse, they claim all their messages were ignored by Slickwraps. At one point, the company even went so far as to block their Twitter account. Even Links disclosed the breach Medium post that they have since been deleted. Someone used the information to post access database to all of the Slickwraps customers. Yeah, this is who I think it was Troy Hunt. He did that too. He tagged a company. He's like, he goes, I think they accidentally blocked me. I'm trying to explain this to a company. Can someone tag them so they can unblock me? I started following that, and then I think that thread disappeared off there. But I think he was just trying to tell someone, you have a hole, guys. I got some data here that seems to belong to you. Or is my guess what he was trying to get at. If Troy Hunt's trying to knock on your door, listen, I'm
having this exact same problem where I'm begging this vendor, a very big vendor in North America, like, please, can you please, like, respond to me? I have a bug for you. It is important. That is a part of the problem, too, as a researcher, man. It's like, it's hard to sleep sometimes at night because you see some things and you can't even talk to the people that own the things you've seen. It's just like, dude.
So, what I'm holding here is a bunch of shit from ConnectWise. Mm-hmm. And it's, thank you for them if, I don't think ConnectWise is watching this show, but this is because we started really pushing them on security, and I started doing videos, how to use Screen Connect to do ransomware, how attackers are doing it, and what could be done about it.
And they were like, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and at first, so Some of the backstory is on it is they had actually were dismissive of some of the people, and this is where I'll use the fact that I have 100,000 subscribers and I have friends in the tech business, and of course, I did some testing. I'm very vocal on mine, and to top that off, the people over at Huntress Labs, they're also very vocal by dropping blog posts about problems, and we highlighted. And I have a hat from Bishop Fox for talking about the report. I'm just trying to make sure I'm bringing attention to it. And ConnectWise is one of those awkward situations. It's like, I'm not here to, I like their product. I'm not here to shame them. I'm here to improve, hopefully, because they aren't doing it on their own in a way that I thought was good. Now they seem to have come full circle because I got a wooden pen. That's kind of nice.
Oh, there you go.
That's neat. I didn't know it was wood till now.
Oh,
That comes
careful.
out. Yeah, interesting.
It's a tongue depressor.
It's a tongue depressor. This is doing pen testing with ConnectWise. If I didn't say ConnectWise, that makes the joke funnier. Anyways, enough of that. So hopefully it's, a lot of it, we want these companies to get better, and it's just super aggravating, like Xavier said, when you have something, you're trying to get through to them, especially when they're dismissive of you, you open it up as a security incident ticket, and they just close it going, that's not a problem. Yeah, cross origin, you should not allow that.
We've had this issue with Facebook. There's still bugs right now in Facebook. I can make people look online or offline. I can see things I'm not supposed to see, thanks to indirect object reflection, and I don't understand why they don't want to just accept this IDOR
that guy that said he could get into anyone's profile and posts them, and they said you can't, and he went and posted as Mark Zuckerberg. That was my favorite one. It's like the ultimate. And then because that violated their terms and conditions, they wouldn't pay him the bug bounty.
Exactly.
They did later. They kind of said, okay.
You're right.
You're right. We told you the bug wouldn't work, then you proved it worked, and then we tried to say you violated our terms. Shitty. Yeah. It's not an easy system. Drug dealer loses codes for 53.6.
Loses.
Yeah, they're going to be ready for him when he gets out. So I'm assuming he's in.
53.6 million pounds.
The Criminal Assets Bureau has confiscated 12 online accounts and 12 wallets containing 6,000 bitcoins. However, the Irish Times has learned that the account cannot be accessed because the codes are missing.
So this guy's just got like a lot of bad luck. He decided that he's going to have access to over 6,000 Bitcoin in one account, but he thought it was too easy for hackers. So he decided to spread this across 12 accounts, transferred exactly 500 Bitcoin worth almost 4.5 million pounds into each of them, or euro, into each of them. Oh my God. And then he printed out the codes for the 12 accounts onto a piece of paper. He hid the paper inside the aluminum cap of his case containing his fishing rod, which he kept at his renting home, which was then burglarized and taken away. So he was arrested for cannabis, jailed for 5 years for cannabis, by the way. Did 5 years, and then that's where it was a break into the house, and his stuff was taken away to the dump as well. So
now he's a former security guard who became a beekeeper and then won awards for his honey. Then he decided to grow cannabis. He's an industrious dude here.
Hey man, he should have came to America. He would have did great here.
Yeah,
we got love for honey.
We like honey. We like bees
and bud.
Well, bees and bud. That's a good company name.
Bees and bud. You would have won. CBD honey.
CBD honey.
Yep.
Oh man, that is a series of unfortunate events.
Grayson said, haha, punishment for his own stupidity. Yeah, it's really sad that they can't seize those funds, though. That's what they're really upset about. They're like, oh, this money's stuck on the blockchain.
Yep. There's a lot of that. That's an interesting problem, that the blockchain just has big pieces of money that are locked forever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's lots of it.
Well, 51% of Bitcoin is like somebody owns it.
Yeah.
Satoshi or whoever his name is.
Yeah.
But I think that was all we had, right?
Yeah, that's all we got today. Yeah. We're both reached the end of an exhausting week.
Yeah, it's been pretty long for me.
But
Been a rough one.
there was actually a little bit of sun left on Xavier's Drive here, so our moods will improve as the sun comes back to visit us and we get outside.
Good old sun.
Work on a tan a little bit. Work on the smile a little bit, man. You feel a little better when it's sunny out.
Yeah, sun is nice.
Sun is nice. Temperature's above 40 tomorrow, so
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
I know.
That's
and
impressive.
sun. All sunny all day tomorrow, allegedly.
That's really impressive.
I don't know. It's trust the weather, man.
No substance. Like Saturday shows.
Yeah, we were pretty enthusiastic last time. I wasn't yawning.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking late. I mean,
It is. It's almost days. Like, I woke up at 4 today because I was so hyped about things I wanted to get done, and I ran into a wall of, sometimes work wears me out, but I get enthusiastic. Like Xavier says, you do the hacking stuff, the stuff you want to do, but there's the functional stuff. I got to make a report for a customer because that's how I make my money.
exactly. Yeah.
You do it. I mean, it's not that you hate your job. You're like, I don't want to type all these. So I sat down. My part is like typing emails and closing deals.
Dude, I was on 4 sales calls today and worked on 2 statement of works.
Yeah. Conference calls, meetings with my staff to get deployments rolling. No job has been going perfectly right. And it's all extra billable, so I should be happy, but it's actually, no, I just really, I was showing Xavier, there's a big stack of access points that need to be installed. Those are supposed to be installed already, but not us. Someone else ran into a thing, ran into a high-low, ran into a thing and knocked a whole fiber line down and just...
Holy shit.
It's just like one calamity after another.
No fun.
Yeah, and those aren't fun. The good news is it's all billable. Like, we literally get to bill for all of this bullshit. So I should be happy about it. Actually, I can share this picture. So we were supposed to pull a wire in this building. Do you notice the floor's missing? We sent 3 people here. We were on the phone. We had to call. The guy got on a plane from Chicago to fly back to this construction site because they told him it was done too. And we sent him this picture, and he's like, "There ain't no floor." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know exactly how we're supposed to run the wire when there's no floor." we have like a lift to drive to get the ceilings kind of high. We're supposed to be driving a lift and mounting this stuff, and they're like, "We can't drive the lift where there's no floor."
Sheesh.
This is another view. They're like, "Can you balance ladders on the beams so you can just use it?" We're like,
No.
We're leaving, and we're billing you for bringing a crew out."
Jeez.
Yeah. This is stuff you deal with as a business owner sometimes, like the behind the scenes. But that's the complicated part of business. Is like everything just kind of ends up being a disaster occasionally, and it's exhausting sometimes. The best term I heard is decision fatigue. I've made so many decisions today. You know what I want to do? I'm gonna play video games and drink a beer when I get home. And maybe not even. I might just turn YouTube on because I don't even want to make decisions anymore.
I'll probably pass out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
man.
highly likely that after I get home, I will pass out.
Yeah. You reach the end of it, and I'm like, don't ask me no questions, honey. I got no answers. I've given them all away.
Finished.
Core silver bullet. I see it up there. No self. Off done on Friday. I don't even care anymore. Yep. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Even though we weren't super enthusiastic, we still shared some stories with you. We got to dive into a little bit more of the hows. There wasn't a lot of hows in each one, but they were all vague. All the stories I pulled through, there was a lot.
Yeah, I didn't get a good feel for my usual fishing pole. My hole that I usually go to get stories were kind of dry. So
Yeah, I think it's the challenge is sometimes these companies just aren't releasing enough public data. And this is something like Skip, he emails me court transcripts of where to look. That's very helpful. And I might compile some of those together because they're kind of fun because they'll break down the details of things. Like right now, the whole Volt 7 trial is still going on. And that's been... Because I didn't know this in the Volt 7 trial, besides the accused, all the other testimony, because these are CIA, NSA type people, they all are given pseudonames so the testimony can be released of what they said, but nothing about who they are. That's been kind of interesting if you're following that case. Because that's the whole, is this person or is this person maybe a part of the shadow brokers? That whole question. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. So it's still, it's There's so much stuff going on in security right now.
Yeah, too much.
Too much, and it's not ramping down. It's ramping up big time. We know that. So, all right, we're gonna press the button before we pass out. I have my shoes off. I'm putting them back on because I'm gonna go out the door.
It is that time.
It is that time. Let Xavier press the button. Peace. See you guys later.